I told Joanne that the theme today would be moving into thoughts that we often don't entertain at Unity, and that is the darkness, the negative. Well, it makes sense that I thought, and so what a wonderful song for us to think on. It makes sense for us to think about the negative. We're in the middle of October already, a month of obvious changes around us. Every day we see change. The sun is sinking down into its most southern point, and our days are shorter. You can tell that when I get up in the morning, the sun is lower, if not even up yet. And it seems to get dark so early, just like that from a few weeks ago. Nature is shifting. The leaves are changing color. The squirrels have noticed it. Have you noticed them? They're going bonkers trying to find every nut they can and stash them away. They're not just playing on the tree trunks anymore. They're down to business. The flowers in our gardens are wilting and losing their brilliance and dropping their seeds. The shift is right in front of us. And from our observations, we know that it's not the end of the world. We know that year after year after year, this happens. And we will go into darkness of winter. But it won't be there forever. In just another couple months, spring comes again. We know that from nature. We know that's going to happen. It's valuable for us to take a lesson from Mother Earth and Father Sun, and to realize that that shift from light to dark and back to light again is a natural process, a cycle. There's a bug right around my face, so if you see me doing funny things, go somewhere else. It's a natural cycle, moving from light to dark and back to light again. And we know that the light will come. But the funny thing is, we as human beings would rather just focus on the light. And yet, without darkness, we wouldn't be able to even notice the light. Our divine nature is whole. Wholeness means balance. The divine is both light and dark. It is spring. It is summer. It is autumn and winter. And it comes back to spring. That balance of nature can be a symbol of the balance of life. And yet, we often want to just stay in the light. We want to sing like we sang at the beginning of this. You might have heard if you were here before the welcome song, Blue Skies. We always want to have blue skies, but sometimes we don't, like today. It happens. It's part of the cycle of nature. The letting go time is an important time. The autumn time of our lives, whether it be the older age of the whole life cycle or just the letting go of a phase of our lives, it's an important time. It's a healthy time. It's a time for us to embrace balance. What is the darkness in our lives? It can be grief. It can be death. It can be the loss of something. It can be fear. It can be a feeling of emptiness, of not moving forward. We all have those times. And yet we want to run away from them. We want to only do the light part. We are children of the Enlightenment. And one of my teachers is Matthew Fox. He says, it's important for us to embrace the endarkenment as well. The endarkenment. Not always moving to light and expansiveness, but also allowing receptivity, withdrawal, quietness, solitude, non-activity. He has some wisdom to share with us. He wants us to face the darkness. Whatever that darkness is, it can be your grief, pain, physical, emotional, aloneness. He says, if we do not face frontally this unimaginable darkness and befriend it, the seeming enemy that it is, seeming enemy, we will surely pay the price all those pay who repress the shadow. It will return to haunt us and break into our light of day giddiness. What I see him saying here is, in order for us to truly have deep peace and feel balance and be fully expansive, we need to be willing to face the darkness time of our life, the letting go time. But we often run far from it. We feel ourselves, especially in Unity, where we say positive all the time. We feel ourselves saying, if we're having any negativity or any lack of expansiveness, something's wrong. We're doing it wrong spiritually. And we feel like we're sliding out of control. So we push against it. We don't want any negativity. No, gotta think positive. Push against it. And we try to stay positive. But as Matthew points out, and many wise counselors point out, if you mask that away and push it away, it's going to make your highs a little less high. So if we can deeply go into that darkness, the grief, the loss, the experience of losing things, and let go and face it, we can courageously step into real freedom. It's this time of sitting with the experience that the pain brings as anger, frustration, disappointment, whatever it might be, and practice the letting go. That is not your only identity. It's only a part of you. You are radiant and productive as well, just like spring and summer is. But you're also the withdrawn, receptive, quiet, and contemplative, like autumn and winter. Winter is a death, but it's full of promise, because after that comes spring. And so it's like when we go into it, which is really the only way to get through it, we will experience true freedom. I know a little chant that I used to say at camp. I bet you did too at some time. Going on a lion hunt. I ain't scared, right? And then it says, come into a swamp. Come into a swamp. Can't go over it. Can't go over it. Can't go around it. Can't go around it. Gotta go through it. Gotta go through it. Boy, do we want to jump over those bad times. We want to jump over the pain. We want to get around it, but we've really got to go through it. And when we do, the letting go brings us so much courage because we do get through it. Now, if it's really dark, you might need a helping hand, just like you would through a swamp. You might need a little assistance. Don't be afraid to ask for it. And let that person who can help you say, you're not alone. you can get through it. Feel the grief in your body. Know that it is part of life. So when you feel that you've lost something, when you have lost something, such as the death of a loved one, or a relationship, or you must let go of something, or you know it's time to make a change, and that's scary, know that you will get through it. Another lesson from nature. Think of the tree, a beautiful symbol of nature. The tree, strong and tall, spreading out its branches and full of leaves or fruit, a home to the birds and the squirrels. The tree is not just what we see up here. It is the same down below. And when the tree loses its leaves and the wind comes and strips its leaves off and it stands naked to the sky all through the winter, the very same reflection of that form is down below. Balance. And what is it in down below the soil? It is in the darkness and the cradle of Mother Earth. Its roots are deep and they are not dead. It is being held by Mother Earth. And so when you plunge into darkness, as we all do at some time in our lives, or repeatedly, or you may be right now, know that you are plunging into the ground of your being. It is where we've come from, the darkness, and where we're returned to. It is the place of being held strong and secure. Those roots hold that tree in place and give it the life that it brings again in the spring. Your roots are holding you in place. The ground of your being, which is the divine nature, that is you, holds you when you are having times where your leaves aren't beautiful and your fruit is not bearing fruit, to come back again. We move into a darkness at all different times of our lives. We come from nothing, no thing, and we go into no thingness in those dying times in life. And we spring back from no thing into fullness again. It's okay. It's natural. During the coming week, I invite you to journal if you can, or to do a ritual of some kind that helps you recognize all the cycle of your life. You might take a walk at the labyrinth where the east, south, west, and north are marked, to realize that every part of your life is your divinity and your full humanity. Journal, if you can, about a time when you may have been in darkness and you didn't want to face it. What did it feel like? Allow yourself to feel it and to heal it and step into true freedom. When you look at the four directions, think east. Think east, blossoming, inhaling, newness, growth. Think west or south, fullness like summer. But at its peak, you know that all nature wanes once again, and that's west. Think west, finishing, diminishing, retreating. Think north, darkness, but everything rotates around that polar star in the north, and we come back to turn back into birth once again. This is not an easy, joyful thing to talk about. So we do ignore it. But it's so important. When we go into grief, death, loss, change, know that it is not the end of your life. It may feel like it, but it is not. And what you learn from it can make you so much stronger and so much freer. It turns out to be a blessing. Now, if you need time to process that, allow it to happen. If you feel like you're stuck in the darkness, ask for help. We're here for you. That's what we're here for. And when you pull out of it, you can be such a blessing to others in sharing that journey with them. The poet Chang Tzu says, when we understand, we are at the center of the circle, and there we sit, while yes and no run around the circumference. Sitting in the center and knowing that yes and no will happen, we can be grounded. And Robert Frost wrote, we dance round in a ring and suppose, but the secret lies in the middle and knows. Next week, I'll also have an opportunity to speak with you, and I'm going to share something sensitive about my own understanding or experience with death. And it won't be so like horrible, so please don't be afraid to come, just to listen. I thought about doing this because, you know, the next week is Halloween. And whether we like it or not, it is about death. And so let's talk about it in a healthy way. And so I have a wonderful painting in my office that was done by my sister, Susan, during her last 2 months of her life that I want to share with you. And I'll have it on the screen so you can see it well. And I'll share my experiences of death and the final moments of sharing someone's life with them. And then on Halloween, we'll celebrate our ancestors because it's also All Souls Day, All Saints Day, and we'll have a interesting little ritual. So enjoy this time of change. Know it is part of life. Namaste.